when we talk about weeks and weeks before, you know, that gets down to making sure that everybody that's involved in the game knows when the game is going to be taking place. That's the first step that we have to take. The second step is starting on the video production and things like that we have to do with Daktronics. With that being a very visual piece of our events, we need to make sure that that part's in place too. So those will start, those will be one of the first parts of the process that we'll begin with. Day of the game is going to be making sure that people that we have coming in for tickets and things like that, if we have special guests coming in, making sure that their tickets are in place. We have people that we honor every game, part of our Jackrabbit Top program, so making sure that their tickets are in place, making sure they have their agenda so that they know exactly where they need to be and when. Just setting up for the event, you know, making sure our sound system's set up, making sure that all of our cameras are working. We work with our Daktronics crew on that, but we just did that right before I came over here this morning, you know, running through the script, making sure they have the correct video and that they have it in the right place. Have a copy of our announcer script. Our announcer script is 21 pages long for a game like tonight, and so reading through that, making sure there's no spelling errors, making sure the pronunciations of all the names are there correctly. So. Right now we have a staff of, there's a graduate assistant, there's also a student intern that we have right now, and then we have a full-time Daktronics employee who runs our control room. So we work through him. He oversees their crew of about 12 people for a game like tonight. So that's the crew that I talk about. We also have a couple students that help us out when it gets to the game. We generally meet with them about 5 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game, you know, 2 hours before the game. So that would be the we that I was mentioning. It's a fun process. It's like putting together a big puzzle, and even for Daktronics, we have a totally separate script so that their cameras need to know exactly where they need to be and when, the order that things are coming, what sponsor logos need to go on the video board with which ads and stuff like that. So it's a big puzzle. Sometimes the puzzle goes together easier than other times. I have a 6-year-old daughter, and so, you know, it's that race. Okay, I put the princess puzzle together this fast this time, and next time I put together this time, and it doesn't always get faster. Sometimes it takes longer, but that's just part of the fun of the job too. You know, some of it depends on what's going on for the game. You know, like tonight we're recognizing Nancy Niebuhr, who's worked for the university for 25 years, and so when you look at putting together a script like that, you have a lot of people you need to talk to make sure you have the correct information. So one like that would take a lot more time than, say, if we have a game going on or a contest involving students. One of those probably wouldn't take as much time because while you have to have the rules read and stuff like that, the action itself takes the place of somebody talking. And so that wouldn't take as long. But when you look at the proofreading and things like that, we read through everything at least 3, if not 4 times. And so that, when you're looking at a length of a script, takes about the same amount of time, regardless of what content we have in there. Changed, but they become more specific. I'm not doing anything different than what I did before, but I've actually lost some things because, okay, instead of having to do all these things, you just only have to do these few things, but they need to be done better. And so that's the fun part of it, is finding out which things I enjoy best, which things I feel we can be the best at, and then just going to my supervisor and saying, all right, this is what we're going to focus on, what help can we get in these other areas. A lot of it too, realistically, we work harder now to get people out to games than we did at Division II because they were showing up. They knew USD would be here, they knew UND would be here, those schools. Just like tonight with SDSU coming in. We realistically didn't do as much advertising for this game as we do for other games because people are going to show up. And you advertise when you need to. And so we work harder now than we did then, but the Daktronics project has changed our responsibilities too. A lot of it is just getting back to our roots of our promotions, which are the students. You know, being in the union on game days, table tents. We used to do table tents just for the big games, stuff like that. Well, now every single week we're going out on Mondays. We're putting new stuff out. getting in the community, doing radio, going on the sports show that they have here in town. We never used to have to do that. And it's one of those things, is it fun? Yes, but it takes time, and especially on a game day, finding, okay, I need to block out this 45 minutes or an hour every single week, it's not always convenient, but those are the things we've realized we have to do to get the people there. Yes, and some no. It's one of those things. We can put all the work into it, you know, talking about a script, talking about games and things like that. We can put a ton of work into a game, but if we don't get the right people to take a halftime contest, we get much better results from having little kids compete, because little kids are entertaining and people are like, wow, that's a great contest. We can put college students in that exact same contest and people will say, wow, it just wasn't as good. And so when we talk about putting more work in and getting results, sometimes it's up to chance. And we try to minimize how much chance is involved in that by putting in the work and doing it properly. But as far as seeing results on some things, yes, some things, no. And when it does work, all right, what was it about this that made it work? You know, weather, looking at the impending weather that we have coming up this weekend, we can put a ton of work into an event, but if the weather's bad and people decide to show up, it's nothing wrong with what we've done. That's just what it is. And it's an opportunity for us to, all right, the weather is bad, what can we do to overcome that? We're already working on that. We've had a couple meetings on that, you know, even meeting with the radio stations, the newspapers, getting the ads set up so that as soon as we find out, assuming we do, it's not like, all right, we need to get these ads recorded, what are we going to do for tickets? You know, working with our ticket manager to get ticket information out there, because the last thing we want to do is find out on a Monday that we're in, and then be receiving calls asking about tickets while we're trying to sell tickets and trying to do, so if we get all the information out there beforehand, that'll help us once we do finally receive that bid, assuming we do. So that role has already started, you know, working with the radio stations, setting up halftime performers. You know, just telling people, hey, these are the possible dates, just block it off, we'll call you if we need you, but it's a lot of planning that may not even need to be used realistically. Former student body president Eric Erickson was the one who approached us on it. We were looking for something, even the year before we brought the Daktronics scoreboards in, the cowbell was something we wanted to bring back from the past. Knowing that it would bridge that gap between some of our older fans and some of our college students. And so we were looking for a way. A bunch of us had seen that clip, but didn't really associate it, and Eric, who is working for Daktronics now, approached us saying, hey, this is something you could do. And so he would be the one to get the credit for it. It'll be interesting getting into the Mid-Continent Conference. You know, when we were in the North Central Conference, they had a rule against artificial noisemakers at all. The NCAA rules state that you can only use them during stoppages in play, which is a rule that, you know, we run it on the video board before games to make sure that people know, because we can get penalized if people ring them at the wrong times. So it'll be interesting. The Mid-Continent Conference doesn't currently have a rule about that, but even when they were here for their press conference and we presented their commissioner with a cowbell, his comment was, this will be the first thing I have to deal with SDSU on. And so we'll see how he does it. We're going to push it as long as we can. We get schools calling us all the time saying, how do you do it? And knowing that we're an independent and they have to battle some of those conference rules, we're very fortunate.